Needless to say, it's a mouth-watering prospect. Prepare to be royally entertained. The world #1 against the world champion for the Alex Higgins Trophy. It gets no better than that. Stand by for some fireworks. Huge respect between the two. O'Sullivan mentioned ahead of this match that Trump these days is the test of where his game's at. That is the ultimate compliment for surely the greatest player ever to pick up a cue. That's the trophy. Mark King, Mark Williams, and of course Judd Trump for the last 2 years has got the better of O'Sullivan in this great event. Can the Rocket exact some revenge today?
Again, this could be and will be. And the best part about it is, it really is very difficult to know who is going to lift the trophy tonight. Makers slightly favour Judd Trump, so that man is not favourite. That's extremely rare that O'Sullivan wouldn't start a match as favourite. But there's very little in it, and I've spoken to a lot of people, and most people have a different view. If they've got a view, they just want to watch this match and find out.
Well, it's a 12-year-old rivalry, and as has been mentioned many times, they are dead level at 11 victories each. And indeed, it's been a close rivalry right from the get-go. You might have expected O'Sullivan to hold sway in the early years, but actually after 10 meetings, they were dead level at 5-all. Trump winning 6 of the 9 finals, one of those in one of the old PTCs, but perhaps the most significant was here in 2018, because although it's hard to believe now, Trump had gone over a year without a ranking title. O'Sullivan made 2 big breaks to lead 7-6, and Trump responded by winning 3 straight frames, with O'Sullivan scoring just 5 points, and that really opened the floodgates for Trump. He's doubled his ranking title tally since then. But it's first blood to the Rocket. In contrast, in last year's final, O'Sullivan was never in front. Trump managed to keep him at arm's length throughout. So a fast start would be very welcome for the reigning world champion.
Yeah, I agree. He has to start well. There's some great matches, but you can't help remembering that Masters, with the first 8 frames at the end of it, in Ronnie's backyard where he always wins. It was 7-1 to Trump. And of course the match was effectively over. I'm not saying that'll happen again, but it's happened before. That much we do know. It's that wonderful match that Ronnie won in the Tour Championship. Not the most recent, but the one before that, which was a pulsating match, finishing all on the black. Sullivan cleared the colours. It was a great game. So there have been lots of great matches. This is the next chapter. Sullivan in first.
22.
The Trump shot was not a very good one. He hit the middle pocket on a fairly average, not difficult safety shot.
O'Sullivan has had moments of difficulty this week. Of course, he was outplayed by Ding early on in their quarter-final, trailed 2-0. Ended up reeling off 5 straight frames, and did the same yesterday from 3-1 behind against Ali Carter. He was a bit stuck in the mud before the interval. Carter was controlling the pace of the game, keeping him off the table, making life awkward, but what a burst of form it was thereafter, and a magnificent clearance in the final frame when 3 reds were on cushions. Fantastic final blue to win the frame on the black, but a routine pink goes astray for O'Sullivan, so just 23 points from that chance. even for these two world-class players. There are bound to be nerves in the early stages of a final.
Yes, I think so. It might take a frame to really settle either player. Whoever wins the opening frame no doubt will feel comfortable, but Sullivan missing a chance. This little thin blue, going to control it with a nudge. Well, he's played it pretty well. He's also got the red in the middle anyhow.
6.
Trump's one moment of alarm this week came in the match against Luca Brissell when he was 3-2 behind. He'd put in what he described as the perfect performance in the round before against China's Gao Yang. Of course, he made the maximum 2 other centuries, but against Brissell he had to dig deep. Since then, though,
12.
He's lost just 4 frames in 3 rounds. Digging deep is not a problem for Trump these days. Remember when he won the first leg of the Home Nations this season, the English Open here. In his first 3 rounds, he came through by the odd frame, having to come from behind in all of them. And he was 7-4 behind a Robertson in the final before winning
13.
in the decider. So he has the resilience these days to go with his dazzling talent. The complete player.
Well, that's the problem. The black is tied up. The red surrounding it are really going to make it very difficult for Judd to make this into a frame-winning chance. He already looked at the black. It may pop to the right corner, but only from very low. I don't think it will. But those reds are going to be winning and losing in this frame, I think.
19. Blue, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think on the blue, not sure what it is. It's on its spot, so I wonder why referees do that. He's actually using the ball marker, but clearly the blue was on its spot. But I do think that Salakar is an extremely good referee. He's such a good referee. That ball marker has got his name on it. Couldn't quite see it there. And that's when you know you've arrived.
Well, of course, he officiated the World Final for the first time in the summer. At 30 years of age, the youngest ever to do it. Now, has Trump come far enough as we have a look at
24.
Marcel for this red?
Trump 24.
So the miss from O'Sullivan on the pink proved not to be too expensive. O'Sullivan going for his second Home Nations title after winning the English Open in such fine style at the expense of Kyron Wilson in 2017. Of course, Trump has already won 3, more than anyone else in this series.
And the safety shot here is not absolutely simple. The red on the left is in play if he plays the red in the centre of the table. So he might have to play that red with the pink, which he should do. But it's just not the kind of shot he wants to play. wasn't there, he would have no problem getting back to bowl. The other way instead. And that'll do him. That's a nice bonus. And he's not on a colour. Play the snooker, but he might go at the yellow here.
Yellow ball.
Interesting one, you know, because really, if he'd have potted a great red up, would he have played the yellow? Feel after getting the fluke that the snooker's the shot and not to continue the break. It shouldn't matter. The red went in one way or another.
Well, the bookmakers can't split these two. They've played 22 times. They've won 11 each, and they're both 11 to 10.
Both odds-on chances. Trump was definitely a slight favourite last night, but the O'Sullivan money has come in, no doubt, from his huge amount of fans.
Judd Trump. Yep.
I think one of the reasons why Trump has enjoyed the success he has against O'Sullivan is that rather than being intimidated by the prospect of playing him, he's always been excited by it. He feels as though it brings out the best in him. And he's done that all the way through his career, even before he established himself as the force he is today.
That's what he's trying to do here. He's trying to clip the top end of that red, and that's why it's difficult. He's not really trying to hit it full ball, of course. Hit the wrong side of it. Well, that's turned out a blessing in disguise. Well, it wasn't a reckless shot, it was an authentic cross-double opportunity. Thought the cue ball perhaps was the biggest error there because he's not put it away from the jaws of the pocket. Either way, he's given Trump a chance.
One.
It was a much more difficult shot than the blue, but with more at stake. The cue ball just ran into a position where it's not potable, that red. If so, it's a pity. He took on a big shot. It may have amounted to nothing.
That's confirmation. It doesn't look as though it goes.
Trump 4.
Rather a strange shot from Trump. It's okay, but I mean, cue ball Could have finished anywhere, really, and yet he has covered that red.
One of those typically edgy, nervy, tense type of opening frames in a major final. Both players just getting a feel for it, trying to settle the butterflies.
No question that while we know how well they pot and score these two, the good safety will play a big part for that very reason. I mean, Ronnie has to keep Trump out at range. That is a factor that might not be quite so relevant in reverse. I mean, Ronnie can put long balls, but not in the same capacity as the man he's playing. So Sullivan's safety will have to be very good, very tight. He's got to negotiate this problem first. Just get to those three reds on the left side. Again, he's playing the two cushion glance on the loose red. Keep one behind the yellow somewhere is the plan.
Oh, miss. Judd trump 4.
Well, we already showed you that shot. Previous attempt, so not going to put it up again, but the fact remains he's trying to hit a very thin edge of a red here, and the amount you have to adjust is so minuscule. Otherwise he'll do what he did last time, just hit it full on the wrong side.
Foul, miss.
Wow,
Judd trump
how
4.
close did he get to that? I think there's an argument here, you know, to have this played from where the balls have landed rather than anything else. Free ball, blue's gone safe. Trump's lead is a small one. I think I'll have it put back from there. Ronnie's going to get the shot the next time, I think, the one that he played twice.
From there, please.
Yeah, so deciding that it's a more dangerous option. Well, you're at the mercy on that shot of the table, and if it drifted off, I think many a table would from that sort of range at that lack of speed. So Trump has won the early battles here. He's got to convert it to a frame winner.
1.
A chance to do so where the balls are.
O'Sullivan was first in after Trump's safety error, but broke down on 23, missing, for him, a relatively straightforward pink to right centre.
9.
Well, is he hampered here on the red by the pink? Looked a little
16.
edgy as he got up from that shot. He is. Shouldn't be a problem. But it was a problem. Enough for him to miss.
Judd trump 16.
Well, it looked like a kick. It's quite dramatic. You were right to point out that he was awkward queuing, but I didn't think it would stop him. I think it jumped.
1.
Not sure how a straight shot can kick ball offline. I don't think I've seen that before. But it didn't look great.
Bit early to be talking about talking points as we have another look at Trump's surprise miss on the red. Maybe he did get a bad contact there. It certainly jumped, didn't it, the red? But if O'Sullivan could punish him for missing that red and make the fast start that we mentioned, it's probably important for O'Sullivan, given that he's lost his last 3 final meetings with the world #1, then it will be a telling early moment in this final. O'Sullivan's known as the best ever front runner, but recently he's been rather adept at coming from behind. Of course, he did it against Ding and Carter.
16.
And lest we forget, in that tremendous 3-frame burst against Selby in the world semi-finals, when he looked as though he was going out. One of the great crucible matches.
Well, that blue that was put there from the earlier mistake from O'Sullivan, he missed the red, could end up being the key to this frame. That's a very good breast shot. It's a strange one. The blue is a kind of awkward distance away from the cushion. If it was closer, you'd fancy him to be able to nudge it out. It's neither one thing nor the other. Would he play on it? The cannon's more difficult than it would be if it was near the cushion.
20.
He looked to see if it would go in the middle, but it looks very narrow. I'm sure that really is open to him, that option. What has he got in store? Well, I'm not sure if he played a cannon or he played to get very, very close to the blue, but either way, from where he is, it's not a very nice shot to play, to drop that into the middle. You're not getting on the pink, and there's very little pocket to aim at. Don't blame him, played safe.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 30.
Tense opening frame, this. And that's a very good shot.
Yes, Trump looked to certainty with the reds as they were before he hampered himself on the pink, missed the straight red.
It's a good comeback from Trump. So, whoever pots the blue needs a ball.
Trump mentioned ahead of this final that one of the reasons why the fans love this matchup is, of course, they're both super attacking, don't necessarily look to play a safety shot if they can avoid it, but they're both very adept at doing that. Trump has got better and better tactically as the seasons have gone by, and O'Sullivan has always been very handy in that department. It's just that their other skills tend to overshadow their tactical prowess.
Once again, a little heavy-handed on that shot. Now there is an opportunity. Bang it down into the top left. A great view of it. No problem.
5.
So, this is the one. Might be a significant frame, albeit it's the first of Target of 9.
11. And the first frame.
A dramatic start to our Northern Ireland Open final. Judd Trump taking the first on the pink. O'Sullivan had a chance to steal, but it's Trump who leads 1-0. In the third Northern Ireland Open final matchup between O'Sullivan and Trump. And this was the safety that O'Sullivan overhit, allowing Trump to pot the blue very calmly into the yellow pocket, and pink was frame ball after Trump had missed his chance earlier when he missed a straight red, perhaps got a bad contact when he was hampered over the pink, but O'Sullivan had the awkward blue to negotiate close to the left side cushion, and in the end lost that little safety battle. That is what they're playing for, the Alex Higgins Trophy, along with a cheque for £70,000. 7 more frames this afternoon. 9 is the target to be crowned champion.
Ronnie gave that a bit extra, that break-off shot there, to get the cue ball across further. Been his biggest problem. Not leaving a red to the right corner, but he's left one instead to the left corner.
Sullivan appearing in his 54th ranking final. He has, of course, won a record-breaking 37 of them. And he's missed what was a tough red along the top rail.
One.
They're not easy shots on these tables. Can't say that he's hit it badly. Just marginally top jaw.
Eight. Nine.
Trump made the point last night after his semi-final win over David Grace that you never feel comfortable until that first frame is on the board. And of course he lost the first to Grace last evening before winning relatively comfortably in the end, 6-2, and it was the first frame today that could have gone either way. But having won it, Trump will now feel a lot more comfortable and looking to build on it here. The snooker will continue to come thick and fast here on Eurosport. For the first time, we're going to be showing the first round of the UK Championship over the next 4 days. Of course, Ding Junhui will be defending his title, looking for his 4th UK crown. Coverage starts at 2 o'clock UK time tomorrow, and then again in the evening we'll bring you 2 sessions live
22.
throughout the 4 days of the first round before, of course, the tournament really gets underway in earnest next Saturday. And right off the back of that, it'll be the 3rd leg of the home nations, the Scottish Open. Trump, of course, looking to make it 2 out of 2 in this series. No £1 million bonus this year to win all 4. But of course, Trump has won £1 million on the table in the last 2 seasons. The first player to achieve that, and he managed to match it last season. He has become the most prolific of winners. 6 ranking titles during the last campaign was, of course, a record. And he's looking pretty good in the early running here.
Well, if he pots the brown here and it spots, it means that the red might not be potable. In fact, it won't be potable to the only pocket up that end that will go in. That's why he's worried about the brown. It just blocks the red off a little. He went up the table. Well, by moving the red, it gives him a chance. But he's on the other one anyway. It's worked out not bad. Bit of a headache with the blue going on the pink spot, actually. It was not part of how he wanted this frame to pan out early on. High value colours blocking them each other off.
36.
Stayed down on that one, not sure it was in. One more thing to say, it could be a plant, left corner. There's two red directly below blue and pink.
$43.
Well, yep, I think they're on. It's getting towards the right jaw. If we look, straightened it up.
$44.
Pretty good shot, that is, to finish on that red.
$52.
It's one of these very industrious breaks of Judd Trump, which is not plain sailing. It's not easy positional shots, one or two pots that could be missed. It just keeps going.
He made 4 centuries in the final last year. There were 6 in all, 16 breaks in excess of 50. Standard sky high throughout. Both of these finals between this pair have been. And you have to go back to 1994 for the last time the same two players contested 3 consecutive ranking finals in the same event. And that, of course, was our own whirlwind against Hendry at the Crucible. Trump looking to emulate Hendry and winning 3 of the same on the bounce, as he did back in
55.
The 96 UK Championship. But
55.
Just when he was on the cusp, the black stays up.
Trump 55.
So, Trump not quite converting that chance. A lot of hard work done, but the frame not won yet. These are the kind of frames which can be sort of totting up of things at the end, make all the difference. Frames that you can steal, which perhaps you should have lost. Gone through a gap. Anything would have been okay. Even hitting the blue would have been better than nothing. Getting those 2 colours open.
He's desperately unlucky there, isn't he, O'Sullivan? I mean, the chances of going through that gap, you can't really legislate for it. Could try that shot 1,000 times and not make it. The red is still potable, of course, but this is tricky.
Just wanted to move something, didn't he, in the middle of the table on that last shot. Screw into them now, I think. Decided against that.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
It's all a little bit of a struggle for O'Sullivan, a bit of huffing and puffing out there.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. 8.
I think Sullivan has called for his usual cup of hot water to keep his hands warm while he's in his chair. Trump looking to swerve around the black to pop this red.
Foul.
Oh, and he's missed it. Goodness me.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 7.
That's giving him a bit of thought here. Now, what does he do now? Red over the pocket. Can't, obviously not going to ask him to go again, because if you can swerve it and get it next to him.
Foul. Thanks.
I don't know what he'll do here. Well, surely not. Are you kidding? He could easily get the swerve this time. I'm amazed he's had that put back. I think he gets a little bit on it, more on it, then I think he would pop this. We'll see, won't we? But I think I'd have been playing a different shot, or playing a shot myself, not putting him back in.
That's where it was, and that looks absolutely bang on. Jan Verhaas doing the marking today, assisting Marcel. 40 in front, Trump.
It's bang on. Yeah, you're saying you handle the table? Can't remember, to be honest.
Judd is a little confused that he asked him to play again, because he thinks he's going to pot this time. He doesn't want to do it seemingly to gain an advantage. Looks about right though, doesn't it?
Further this way.
The balls have been replaced.
A couple of reds and colours would be enough for Trump. Big moment in this second frame.
It really is.
No, I can't see a difference. No, that's according to the screen. That's absolutely spot on.
Yeah, it does look absolutely bang on.
Ronnie.
Judd is right to double check, just to ensure that everything is done correctly. Doesn't want to gain an advantage.
Well, it's a gamble by O'Sullivan for sure, but clearly it's a tricky swerve. Trump taking his time thinking about this.
Yeah.
Here we go.
One.
Well, I'll never understand O'Sullivan's decision there. It wasn't a very difficult shot, and he's asked him to play it a second time.
Run.
Chance to put Brown safe here as well. Make the task even more difficult for O'Sullivan.
Trump. 1.
So 41 the difference with 59 left. Advantage very much with the world #1 and defending champion.
Foul in the miss. Trump.
Just slipped past the edge.
Please. Yeah, that's all right.
Again, Jan Verhaas called into action to assist with getting cue ball bang on. That's where it was. Maybe a millimetre out, but this makes no difference. It's there, and he only needs the black to go with it. O'Sullivan would need a snooker.
He missed one of these, didn't he? To the top jaw earlier in this frame. No, he's missed another one in exactly the same spot. Frame is still live. A lot of tension out there. We know that these two can knock in huge break after huge break. They've been doing it all week. Playing each other. they're making mistakes, which kind of adds to the drama.
Trump now just needs a red. Taking care of a fly first. He's so good at shots like that. He gets such a high percentage. And of course he knew the black was waiting. Well, he's needed a few chances to get this frame done. But it looks like 2-0. And O'Sullivan under early pressure. Trump, remember, got his nose in front early 12 months ago in the final and never let it slip.
Judd Trump, 8.
So 54 the difference, 43 on. It's 3 snookers for O'Sullivan. Always the chance of a free ball, of course. But 2 tense, quite tight frames, even though on the scoreboard Trump is well ahead here. Look to be going the way of the world #1, and these are the frames that really count.
I'll be honest, I'd like to, when we get to the mid-session interval, get the views of the team as to whether they agree with me about the surprising shot that he played there, putting Judd back in the red over the pocket. I think the problem was Judd was probably not going to win the frame from there, but in pulling the red he gets a colour safe. Kind of gets an even bigger advantage. The moment's gone now, but so is the frame. Barring something unusual.
Well, there'll be nothing unusual now. Both players have had chances in both frames, but Trump has prevailed in both of them.
Judd Trump, 1.
Well, we've seen O'Sullivan playing on this week, both against Matthew Stevens and yesterday against Ali Carter when the cause seemed lost. And it looks pretty hopeless here. 55 the difference, only 35 on, so it's actually 6 snookers to win the frame.
It seems when you play O'Sullivan, you've just got to put all the balls so there's no more on the table. Then you can start the next frame. That's what he's been doing this week.
Well, clearly winning the frame is not on the agenda for O'Sullivan here, but chance to test his long potting with that black. And just reflect on what's gone down so far. None of it particularly encouraging for the world champion. Two tight, tense frames.
10.
Both have gone the way of his rival. Looks relaxed enough, as he's done all week. He's certainly applied himself to every shot he's played, right from ball one.
Foul. O'Sullivan. 10. Judd 4.
Quite a bit of huffing and puffing from O'Sullivan at the moment, but nothing to show for it. Still to concede.
Pretty meaningless passage of play now, to be perfectly honest.
Trump would surely have been aware that O'Sullivan's got some previous in this regard this week, so it won't come as a surprise to him. And frankly, I'm sure he won't care because he's 2-0 up. That's all that matters. Break of 55 in this frame. Of course, it wasn't decisive. There were a few twists and turns thereafter.
4.
But cause for concern for O'Sullivan fans. The next frame almost feels like a must-win for O'Sullivan. Given the way Trump has been playing in the last 2 seasons, he's going to take some catching if he builds a sizable lead.
It doesn't even appear that he's trying to get snookers. He's been saying that he hasn't been on the practice table all week, so he kind of uses this as his practice. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but he's not obliged to concede. It's entirely up to him. But hopefully he's got his mind set on frame 3 in doing this.
O'Sullivan, 18. Second frame, Judd Trump.
O'Sullivan mops up the remaining colours, but Judd Trump had long since won the frame to lead 2-0. Since the Home Nation series started 4 years ago, the Northern Ireland Open in particular has produced some magnificent drama in the finals. Who could forget Mark King's emotional victory in the decider over Barry Hawkins, Mark Williams beating Yan Bingtao by the odd frame, and 2 absolute crackers, of course, in the last 2 years, Trump prevailing at the expense of O'Sullivan both times by 9 frames to 7. And it's Trump who started the better again. 2 tense and intense opening frames, but Nothing going O'Sullivan's way right now, and Trump will be very happy with the start he's made. 2 more to come before our first interval, of course. 9 is the magic number. Trump appearing in his 29th ranking final, going for his 19th title, which will put him in 6th place out on his own in the all-time list, just behind the aforementioned Williams and ahead of Mark Selby and Neil Robertson, who also have 18 at the moment.
Yeah, safe to say the first 2 frames were nervy. Sometimes a big build-up, which of course we were sure to give it because it's got that about it, this match. It can result in both players being a little more tense than they would usually be.
1.
With Judd winning the first 2 frames, it's on Ronnie now to do something.
1.
Terrific opening red, and in the second half of his semi-final against Carter, his long game really began to fire. And with it, the big breaks.
4.
Be celebrating his 45th birthday in a couple of weeks' time. How big a celebration will it be?
5.
Yes, it's always during the UK Championship on his birthday, isn't it? So he's normally otherwise engaged to a party or whatever. No one's having a party at the moment, but that's a different story.
7.
Really deserved to go off. He struck that quite beautifully with the rest. A little bit of something went with him there, and I don't think you can deny him that. Good rest shot. Not an easy table.
It was interesting to hear the guys picking out their landmark matches between these two ahead of this final. I think another one was the 2013 World semi-final, as O'Sullivan shows his frustration at not getting the position he wanted, when O'Sullivan actually schooled Trump over 3 sessions to win 17-11. It was the season, of course, where he'd taken the rest of it off, only to retain his title, his 5th. I think it was very instructive for Trump, that match, because it showed him the level he needed to get to become the same force that O'Sullivan has been. And he's achieved that. That's a terrific recovery.
Well, there was a lot of frustration in that shot, I think.
9.
Maybe what we've seen today, he absolutely drilled this in. He could have got luckier than he has. Trying to get the black open, it was a pretty audacious shot. Get to the middle. Doesn't offer very obvious position. Might be able to get on the pink. And the problem he's got, I don't know where the pink will go. Whether it respots or will go somewhere embedded in that bunch of reds. He sinks it here. Ronnie just inspecting that, exactly that now.
here, please.
Marcel Eckhart just asking for a bit of extra time to find out where on earth he's going to plonk this pink.
Well, one thing you can be sure of, it will be in a safe position wherever he puts it. Problem I think he had at the very start, he didn't want to pop the pink in the early part of this break because he knew it would just be buried.
Thanks. 26.
He's having to work extremely hard to put this so far modest break together. It's a very important frame this though for O'Sullivan.
32.
Yes, there's a long way to go, first to 9 frames, but given what's happened in the previous 2 years, vital you would think that he stays with trump. And he's missed that red, which was one of the easier pots of the break. So 32 the lead.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 32.
The world champion still to fire in this final. Another great red though.
1.
Would have loved a kiss having potted it. Good cueing. He's potted some great balls in this frame.
Ronnie O'Sullivan,
Played
1.
that well. I mean, he can do no more there. I know he missed the red at the start, but you're right, he's potted a lot of good balls. He's trying to be aggressive. He's trying to play a big part in this match and not just try and tie trump up. It really doesn't work. You've got to get in there and score. That's all that's going to hurt him. So I admire the way he's trying to approach this. He hasn't really had a lot of table time, made a couple of errors. This frame he really could do with. Safety shot here is not easy. There's a couple of reds which pop to the right corner.
Oh, he's had a stroke there.
Not too bad. The red to the middle. It's a question of getting onto a colour here. Ronnie is desperately keen to get into this match. You can see it, intensity about it. We're not getting rewards yet.
One.
It's well played. Interested to see which colour he plays on here, because he wouldn't really want to play on the pink, because as you can see, when it respots,
6.
blocks off those two reds. I don't think that'll be his colour of choice if he knocks this red in.
Seven.
I'll have to play it now. Red below, the black is on, I know, but things are just a little bit more difficult with the pink on its spot than they would have been if he was taking a different colour. Those two reds would be in play.
Sullivan doing what he's done from the very first ball of this tournament, giving every shot maximum application.
He's had to play on a more difficult red now.
Sullivan 13.
And that's what he thought of that one. Well, he's worked incredibly hard to forge a 46-point lead, but of course it's nowhere near enough. He knows it. And what a frame this would be now for Trump to win, to extend his advantage.
One.
Plenty of work to do, but there's no one better in the game than Trump at engineering a frame-winning break when balls are awkward.
Eight. Nine.
Yes, it would feel like a very important stage now if Trump could pinch this frame. Because he's got the same problem now that the pink's on its spot that Ronnie had, although, as I mentioned, it was Ronnie who put it there. So his next few shots were difficult, and that's one of the reasons he broke down. A couple of areas in which you can land on those two reds. Not ideally. Gone far enough if he has, it's not bad.
16.
Pinpoint stuff to finish there.
17. Twenty-four. Yeah.
Well, this is actually perfect where he's finished. Does he do? Does he play behind the right hand red? Does he try and chip the left hand red in play? going for that. The calendar's not worked out. But now he wishes he played on the other red.
32.
We've seen that ticker tape falling down all week. I don't know how much was up there originally. That was from the Champion of Champions final. We'll have plenty more tonight, presumably. At some stage, when someone gets to 9. Oh, it's a great pot from Trump to keep the break going. Safety in mind.
Fantastic shot. Now what does he do? Is it a question of playing on the red or playing first? Good snooker on the red from anywhere down there. Probably play on it, but this is not easy.
36.
Probably as difficult as the one he's just taken on. Tendency for the balls to just drift away a little bit on this table this week.
Judd, 36.
The only good news is he missed it by far enough for it to go safe.
Judd.
Well, relief for O'Sullivan that he's back at the table, even though the red went safe. This is such a big frame now, early in this final. O'Sullivan badly needs a foothold, and quickly.
Like he can just sneak through between yellow and blue here, hit it from behind.
And with the colours as they are, this red could be decisive.
Oh, I miss.
Oh dear.
Judd, 5.
It's all gone wrong there.
Put back in. Thanks. And please.
Well, saving Marcel the bother of looking at the free ball, put him back in. More difficult swerve than the roles reversed the previous frame. Judd podded the ball, put back in.
Slightly towards. Yeah, wasn't the last spot, was it? On.
Not an easy replacement here. But the boys have got it right.
Yeah, and they're getting it right quickly. Had a few instances of balls needing to be replaced, and it's been done efficiently and swiftly. Take 2. This time O'Sullivan does hit the red. Oh, he's potted it. Wow.
Wow, that's almost roles reversed of earlier, but I don't think Judd had any choice to put him back in personally. I think it's a little bit of a different story. But the same result, the red has gone in. What a dramatic frame this is turning into as well.
After that slice of luck, it feels like a must-win now for O'Sullivan.
4.
Feel part of this final. It's been a frustrating 2.5 frames for him to this point, but if he can now clinch this one, he can relax into it. It wasn't clean though on the yellow, and that's why he's lost the cue ball. Another shake of the head from the world champ.
Now what is the question? Try and maybe get him behind the brown here. Play the pot.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 6.
I think that's a pretty good shot, all things considered. I know he's not got the snooker, but it's safe.
He'd need green, brown and blue, O'Sullivan. An hour of thoroughly compelling but quite edgy snooker. Well, Trump a bit lucky to get the snooker, but of course O'Sullivan benefited from a big slice just now and fluking the last red. He couldn't capitalise on it as he wanted to.
I need some help here. Help does not appear to be at hand. So, while he's a great part of this, is not an easy one. If it goes in, screen, surely the frame is that of the world #1.
Big shot. And he missed it by a margin. Both players are feeling it out there, but clearly it's O'Sullivan who needs the frame rather more badly than the defending champion does. Be a huge blow for O'Sullivan to lose this one. He was 41 in front, potted some great balls, but had to work so hard to get his nose in front, only for Trump to come back.
It was definitely a good opportunity there. Again, cue ball sure to go up for the brown. Quite the dynamic final we expected. There's been a break of 55 in this match in the 3 frames, but not a plethora of centuries, but not yet. Now, he's looking at maybe pulling this green off the blue. Playing a shot like this in the Champion of Champions, this would be some shot. Tried it.
The equation remains the same for O'Sullivan. He needs 3 more colours. If he pots green and brown, Trump could still tie. Not again, surely.
3.
Oh, my word. Well, that is remarkable. 2 huge flukes for O'Sullivan in this frame. Is this one going to prove decisive?
I think that the thing about the shot, which is not quite one in the frame yet, because there's 18 in it, but he's missed it by so far. Didn't hit the jaw. Ended up going in the middle. But like I say, the frame is still live. At the moment, that man can tie the frame.
It would feel unthinkable, really, that after 2 flukes like that, O'Sullivan wouldn't win this frame, but he hasn't yet. But he's potted the all-important blue. Well, Ronnie O'Sullivan will be breathing a big sigh of relief. He has benefited from 2 big slices of luck here, and he needed them. Badly needed this frame. Barring snookers, he's got it. And Trump will not be playing on for snookers. So, O'Sullivan joins the battle in a timely fashion. Trump leads 2-1.
Was it this one, was it? I think you can switch it off on the monitor, can't you?
So Ronnie O'Sullivan has a foothold in the final. Goodness me, did he need some luck to get there. Not 1 but 2 flukes. This was the all-important one. Missed the green by so far that it went round the table off a couple of cushions and dropped into the centre pocket. It was a good pot on the blue he needed to guarantee the frame. At that stage, Trump could still tie and force a respot, but the blue went in, and Trump, well, he'll certainly be frustrated to have lost the frame in that way. It's been tense stuff right from the start. O'Sullivan badly needed that frame, and he's got it. So 1 more before the interval, 5 more in this session. 9 is required to be crowned champion. Let's look at the latest odds. They couldn't be split at the start of the match. O'Sullivan now 6-4, Trump 2-1 on. And those odds would have been longer for O'Sullivan had he lost that one, which he could easily have done. But that's a good opening red from Trump.
1.
Not the best kiss ever, because on in the blue, the cue was heading towards the green. Just the red though, very clean. Get by the green here. Just shaved past it, great shot.
6. 7. 12. 13.
'A couple of reds at the bottom of the bunch, not really helping the split here, they're just protecting them a little. Could force that bottom red directly above the black into the bunch with the cue ball. Otherwise you might just play on the loose one. Not a favourable pack of reds there to go into.
20. 21.
Now he hit that particularly well. Now he's in position A to get the bunch open from the top, rather than from the bottom end. Very nice.
26. 27. 34.
You can see there's red right in the middle of that bunch, which pops to the left corner, which no doubt Judd has got his eye on. It's one that he could potentially get on here.
Forty. 41.
It's a very good shot. Really good cue ball there, because he played it off the other red. He's not won the frame yet, but this is the first real sign of a player pressing on, playing their game.
46.
3 very tense frames so far.
47.
That equates to 88% for Trump. O'Sullivan down at 84.
54.
But what a fine response this has been from the world number one to the way in which he lost frame 3.
55.
Slotting in a great long red. This is the result.
Didn't
62.
quite play that to plan. He didn't mean to hit the left-hand red first, but should still be right here. Just a little cut back.
63.
Drops in the blue. It'll mean that O'Sullivan needs 1 snooker.
He's got that Stephen Hendry-esque hunger for success these days, Trump. 10 titles in the last 2 years. That red
69.
surely makes this frame certain. And of course he can emulate Hendry's achievement in winning the same tournament 3 years on the bounce as the great man did in the middle 90s at the UK Championship if he triumphs today. And barring snookers, he'll be 3-1 up at the interval. O'Sullivan needs 3 of them.
Many a time I've seen O'Sullivan concede when he needs just 1 snooker. Couldn't be bothered on occasions to even try. Here's the other side of the coin.
One. Six. Seven.
"12 months ago, Trump led 3-1 at the first interval. O'Sullivan got back to within a single frame a few times, but never got level.
12.
And he's going to have his work cut out once again, the other side of this first interval. Barring something remarkable here.
13.
Didn't want that in.
Ronnie
And now that
O'Sullivan,
the red's gone in,
13.
it's a strange decision to play the snooker and not take the colour on. He's already lost a number of points there in not taking a colour. He needs even more snookers now, basically. There's one of them.
Foul. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Reduces the deficit to 56, but there's only 35 on.
Yeah, I must say I didn't think he'd carry on this frame, not the one just before the mid-session interval. He'd often try and come back refreshed. A lot of people have been messaging me saying, you know, they don't like him carrying on, but it's not for everybody. But you know, you can do what you like, basically. If he wants to do it, he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the irony is that there would have been times in the past where O'Sullivan would have been hypercritical of an opponent doing this to him. Think back to that infamous meeting with Peter Ebdon at the World Championship way back when Ebdon slowed to a halt with his average shot time, and O'Sullivan was clearly irked by it. He lost the match from well in front. But he's his own man, does things his own way, always has. I guess that's why, or certainly part of the reason why he's box office. You never quite know what you're going to get with O'Sullivan.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
The reality is, it's been a very satisfactory start to Judd Trump's title defence. He's not necessarily played his very best snooker, but he looks the stronger of the two.
9.
If he wants his cup of tea anytime soon, he might want to just clear the table.
Chunk 9. Free. Ronnie O'Sullivan free, check trump free.
I think on the balance of play, this scoreline is fair. O'Sullivan got lucky in frame 3, but there were other times in this first mini session where he has had chances to win. 3-1 is probably a fair reflection of all of this, but again the mid-session interval is delayed until O'Sullivan is ready. Very interesting, these 4 frames. Lots of talking points, lots of
11.
Good snooker, 1 or 2 errors between the 2 best players around. I think we can have a break now.
So, the first 4 frames have come and gone. Super tense frames, but Judd Trump has emerged with the advantage. Ronnie O'Sullivan has a lot to do on the other half of the break. He trails 3-1. Trump has made the early running then. O'Sullivan needs a response. And of course that's precisely what he produced. A dazzling one to beat Ali Carter with a 5-frame burst, knocking in all the long balls and the big breaks from 2 frames adrift as he is now. But to do it against the world #1 and reigning Northern Ireland Open champion of the last 2 years, perhaps a slightly different proposition. 4 more frames to come. A long way off with that long red.
There's no question O'Sullivan is going to have to up his game. He knows that more than anybody. Great player he is, and what he's won. There's this worry that, you know, being 3-1 down, if you have another poor mini session here and you could go like 6-2 down leading into tonight, then the match is, it's not so much over, but it's a mountain to climb. So he's going to have to make inroads now.
Yes, you'd think 2-2 would be the bare minimum for O'Sullivan to give himself a chance this evening. It ended up at 5-3 this time last year after session 1 to Trump. And O'Sullivan certainly put the pressure on in the second half of that final. Got back to 8-7, of course. But Trump held firm. Fantastic match. And there's still time for this one to live up to it. But O'Sullivan needs to find some new gears.
Well, that won't please either player all that much. The blue going safe. It's never particularly nice for that to happen. It changes the context of the frame a little. So, slight advantage on the safety. Trump, he's got O'Sullivan in a bit of trouble here. Thin edge of a red, the right hand red, tiny bit sticking out. Maybe, but he still missed it altogether.
Jump for. Again.
This is one where it's got to be replaced spot on, which I'm sure it will. Marcel Eckhart was behind the line of the shot, but of course if it isn't in the right line, then there's either more or less of the red available than there was on the first effort.
Have a look, please. No? Why not? Alright, so you don't think it's right? Yeah, can you bring it up?
I think Marcel is only looking for a little bit of help here and assistance, but Ronnie says no.
Sure.
Well, to be honest, he has to play it from there now because he's shown no interest in any of the issues with replacement. Better second time. There he is, 10th major final. Marcel Eckhart, who did the world final. Good referee, strong, I think. Strong referee.
Only 2 half-centuries the final so far have come from Trump. 55 early in the second frame. And that really excellent response to effectively losing the third to a fluke. 69 for the 3-1 lead. This is O'Sullivan's 107th professional final. He's won 71 of them, 2 out of 3. And he'd take an awful lot of satisfaction from winning this one against the world number 1. He said himself it's a test of where his game's at. But he's got a lot of work to do to make it happen.
Suggestion this was going to change after the mid-session interval and it was going to become more open. Already is gone. "15 reds on the table after coming up 7 minutes to play." So both players cancelling each other out a little bit.
Trump currently 5 out of 9 from long range, which for him is modest. Nothing wrong with that one though. Got into the cue ball maybe a bit more than he would have liked.
Judd, 1.
But even though it's only 1 point, it gives him the tactical advantage. If he wins this frame, of course, the worst he can be is level at the end of this first session, but he'd be in a position to go on to take a potentially unassailable lead.
He might just go that way, hitting the second cushion and laying on the red. He's looked at the situation from down there. He's not sure for it to go safe if he did play that way, but other options aren't all that promising. That was the problem with O'Sullivan's shot. He knew he could still leave a red, and it was a good shot at that speed from Trump. Really rifled this in. must believe that he can't quite get to the pink to pot it, because I think he would have played it.
Rambo. Judge on 1.
No, he couldn't really, unless he nestled right in behind the yellow and the blue there. He was never going to trouble O'Sullivan all that much with that shot. Quite the final we expected, is it, so far? It's been not without incident, but frames have gone a little bit unexpectedly bogged down, maybe. Been lengthy, but there's reasons for that.
And I think in part indicative of just how desperately they both want to win. This rivalry is a very special one and has become more and more intense as the years have gone by. Trump has held sway more often than not recently. Certainly in the big finals. He's desperate to get his nose in front of O'Sullivan in the overall head-to-head. And O'Sullivan, well, having won his 6th world title, and of course this is their first meeting since he did that in the summer, he would love to put one over on the world number 1. That's a good red.
Once again, it's a question of when the pink respots. Will it go anywhere?
7.
Not particularly. Don't know if it'll creep into the right corner past all those reds. I doubt it. Have a little look at something there. Actually, it would go to the left middle from where that red is now that he's about to play. Clearly it's not the easiest table to score on at this stage where the balls are placed.
O'Sullivan's average shot time currently a shade under 24 seconds. That's 5 seconds down on where he'd normally be, and it was a similar story yesterday in the first half of his match with Carter. At one stage it crept up to 26 seconds,
14.
which is pretty much unknown territory for O'Sullivan, but by the end of it, of course, with that 5-frame blitz, he was back to where he normally is. Everything's been a bit of a struggle so far today. Balls have been a bit awkward. Rhythm has been lacking. As Andy mentioned, his highest break so far, just 32.
Well, if you could get 45 or so here, that would feel like a lot. Maybe 50, where the balls are. Managed to get pink in the open, so he's working very hard at making this into something. I think you can argue about his commitment, to be quite honest. Trying very hard. At the moment, he's just trying to make things happen in his favour. Now he needs to dig in and get this frame on the board, or else this final is not starting in the way he would like. Desperately trying to make something here.
'28. '29. '35. 36.
A couple of areas in which you could get on a red. A bunch of 6 reds, left-hand red, and the red at the top on the right, and the ones I think which are very potable, depending on the angle he's got here. Now it's got to move the red below it here, can't help it. Screw in and out of that little area.
43.
Took a risk there, didn't know a great deal about that. Just hit it in the end, I think.
43.
Landed in a position neither here nor there once again.
Well, this is a big pot for O'Sullivan. You heard the reaction. He didn't get close, and having opened the reds up, only 37 in front, chance of a counter. It's been that kind of afternoon so far for O'Sullivan. Everything's been hard work.
Well, he took a risk on the red. Let the cue ball just freewheel around the table, but it did finish in a slightly awkward place where nothing was very easy, because he was just starting to show a little bit of promise there. Very hard working break that was, only to tidy the table up for his opponent now, who's got a better chance. Balls, albeit not the blue ball, are very open now.
8. Nine. Sixteen.
This time, from colour to red is not an easy shot. Pink to the middle, maybe screw across to the right where he was just standing. But it can go wrong, this shot. Just. So again, the next red is far from easy. One of those frames, everything in this frame's had to be worked for.
Judd 23.
Ronnie quickly out of his chair, knowing that this is a second invitation to win the frame.
He's been using the rest a lot today, O'Sullivan. Three out of 4 so far. And now 3 out of 5, and there is another chance that's gone begging. These are costly misses for the world champion. Another shake of the head. It's just not happening for him so far, and it's got to start happening pretty quickly, otherwise this could get ugly.
One.
Black spot still covered. Bit of a surprise he ended up hitting the pink there.
8. Nine.
There is, of course, the issue of the blue on the side cushion for Trump to negotiate further down the line.
Yeah, I think both players are aware that this frame is still going to take a bit of winning, whatever happens at this point. The yellow there as well. I was going to say the green looked around the houses, didn't it? Brown surely is easier. It's not an easy pot from where it's finished. That's the thing about Trump, he pots so many difficult balls, doesn't he, now? This break even. 14 break with about 3 or 4 good shots in it already. To pot another good one here. Yellow.
21.
Still work to do, but if Trump won this frame, it would hurt O'Sullivan. The driving seat for the most part.
26.
Anything but straight, and he's got a chance of getting the blue in play here. It's fairly straight. Sullivan is pinning his hopes on the blue not being potted. Fabulous shot. That is a fabulous shot. It wasn't a natural.
Yeah, looks like being a frame winner. O'Sullivan with his best break of the final so far, 43, which kind of says it all, really.
Well, that felt a very decisive shot in the context of this match. Early days still, but a frame winner.
41 in the frame. Judd Trump.
Judd Trump clears to the pink, and the problems for Ronnie O'Sullivan deepen as Trump extends his lead by 4-1. the magnificent Waterford Crystal Alex Higgins trophy. Who will be holding it aloft this evening? Well, right now, it's a long way off for Ronnie O'Sullivan, who try as he might, and he is trying, make no mistake, for all he's worth, just cannot get anything going, missing with the rest again. He's done that twice today, but what a shot this was from Trump to release the awkward blue, which won him the frame and extends his lead to 3. So the worst Trump can be now is honours even at the end of this session, but he'll be thinking, I can take a lead that not even O'Sullivan could claw back. 3 more to come. 9 the target. O'Sullivan's pot percentage success remains in the low 80s. Trump shade under 90 now. It's not been a fluent final in the way that the other two they've contested here in this event, albeit in Belfast rather than Milton Keynes have been, but Trump once again very much on top.
Yes, that last frame, the way he won it, that's typical of the way that he pots. Some of the shots he played there, extremely dangerous. And of the two players who have been a little watchful, tentative today, Trump is emerging as the more confident. Excellent long pot, good job it went in, but it never really looked like missing.
O'Sullivan has spent the lion's share of his fabulous career getting in front of his opponents and then bullying them, often steamrollering them. More recently, he's found himself having to play catch-up, and he's done it pretty effectively, not least against Selby in that wonderful Crucible semi-final when he seemed to be going out and then produced that furious 3-frame burst to get the better of the 3 times world champion Selby, and of course went on to comfortably beat Kyron Wilson for his 6th world title. He needs that kind of inspiration now.
13. $14. $20. $21.
Like the blue has to go on the green spot here. It's better that it's free because you wouldn't want it to go next to the pink,
26.
just below it. Kind of interfere with both of those high value colours.
27.
A little bit more positivity, I think, about the way he looks in this frame. I thought in the last frame, break he made a 43 was a very hard worked one, but the frame went against him.
33. Foul.
That will make him enraged.
Sullivan.
It's a foul because he's already jumped over the ball, even though he hit a red in the end.
Yeah.
His frustrations compounded. His highest break remains just 43 in the previous frame. We saw him troubled by a few stray fibres in his victory over Ali Carter in the early stages, which he seemed to have fixed, but what What a time to miscue, just when it was looking like he could make his first substantial break of the final. Get himself back in the picture. Wow. A reprieve though, straight away.
Yep, it would have been more frustrating that miscue had Trump got in there with a chance to score. No, I had no control over that shot at all. Sometimes when the ball is so close to the pocket, it actually doesn't help you get position. Once again, O'Sullivan's been derailed a little bit in this frame, but just when he started to show signs, you know, the miscue, there's not many worse feelings for a player when you get too low on the cue ball and do what he did. And of course the next thing you do, you look at the tip to make sure it's still on the cue, or most of it's on there. Many a time a tip's been a chunk taken out of it after a miscue. Looks like O'Sullivan's was okay though. Goes without saying that this frame has to be very important now for Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's got to win it any way he can.
There's been nothing wrong with his long game by and large today. 9 out of 11 is outstanding. 4 out of 5. It's just that more often than not, things have been awkward for him when he's been trying to construct a break, and then just when it looked as though he was putting that right, the miscue.
Contact made there. It's brushed against the red. Yeah, I mean, the session of snooker has been played with a great intensity, which has not quite been backed up with high scoring. But no one could doubt that these two have resolution here has been quite something. Just that something seems to have stopped them making the big breaks somewhere. Get days like that, the balls will run awkwardly. Something will come along and stop you potting balls. Trump won't mind at 4-1 up what's happening out there.
And what an effective shot he's played there, really opening things up, cranking up the pressure on O'Sullivan, who desperately needs this frame. If he loses it, he's bound to be behind. It's a question of by how much and whether the deficit in question would be retrievable tonight.
Very good shot that, but he's a little unfortunate that the red has gone in a potable position where Trump can knock these in. Thought he played quite a clever shot there, O'Sullivan. Just knocks in so many of those sort of shots, it's almost like they're hanging over the pocket.
Trump one.
And that 30-point lead may not count for much. O'Sullivan in trouble again.
The question here is which red would he most like to be able to lay up to? That's the red he'd quite like to hit, but now quite how he gets there. Oh, there you have it. Couldn't get to anything, just to roll up to it. And it may look reckless, but we saw it in that semi-final against Mark Selby. There's a little bit of more pragmatism in that than what you think. might fluke one, you could knock ball safe, anything can happen. And what it has is eventually not cost him anything.
Hard to overestimate the significance of this frame. Big difference between 5-1 and 4-2. O'Sullivan could yet emerge with a share of the spoils in this session. Right now that feels unlikely, but if he can win this frame, it might just spring him into life, if he can win it. Could have done without that kiss on the red though, which has left the red on. Wow, Trump once again lets O'Sullivan off the hook.
We've got a chance to see the O'Sullivan escape, which is known in the trade as a hit and hope. What he was doing.
Well, he's not been entirely secure with the rest so far. He's got 3 but missed 2. He's missed another one, goodness me.
I'd be really annoyed about that one, Philip, because the frame is there at his mercy and he's missing the first red.
One.
Well, at least from O'Sullivan's point of view, there are awkward reds here for Trump to negotiate as he looks to get back into this frame.
Black. Black one.
Now, when the black is respotted, does it cover the reds? If it does respot at all, that is. I think it'll go on there.
8.
Would have been on an easy pot anyway, but clearly not a thing available now. So that red down the cushion. Frames have all gone the same way, haven't they? There's been no fluency. Incredibly hard fought frames.
3 of them have lasted well over 20 minutes. There's a long way to travel in this one yet as Trump goes in off.
On O'Sullivan 4.
Yes. It's been a bit of a grind, but crucially it's been Trump who's had the last word in 4 of the 5.
It's almost like they're trying a bit too hard. See, Judd, I'll say it again, has won 4 of the 5 frames. He doesn't mind how this is going. But it just feels like that. A couple of very important little clearances have been made by Trump, which is the difference between the 2 players. There's not a great deal else between them.
O'Sullivan had a clear chance just now, of course. Missed for the 3rd time this afternoon with the rest. Very uncharacteristic of him. Now he's got to do it all over again. Just 26 in front. O'Sullivan's strength today, amidst all of the frustration, has been his long game. He's only missed 2 in 11.
As one of those was the fluke, which counts as a pot, is it, on that green earlier?
Yeah, that's true.
So that's where stats sometimes tell lies, don't they?
But nothing fluky about that one. Superbly struck from O'Sullivan. Can he finally put this frame to bed? A frame he desperately needs. It was good enough to have another look.
It was a brilliant shot because he's doing all kinds of damage if this doesn't go in. He's leaving the red to the middle. He's got the red below the black there. Now, surely something else is not going to crop up for O'Sullivan here, not to win this frame. He's got to watch for the brown. It's underneath his, basically where he wanted to put his elbow, I think. His bridging hand is a little different. But after what's gone before, I think this is a must win the frame at this visit. No more frustrations for the spectacle of the final. It's a frame that I think a lot of people would like O'Sullivan to win.
16.
If you're a neutral. Clearly, if you're
17.
Judd's camp, then you want him to win it easily. It looks like he might have done had this frame not gone O'Sullivan's way. Still got a bit of work to do. He needs another red.
It's been pretty typical of the frames we've seen to date. Hard going. But it's been won, by the looks of things, by a magnificent red. And could that be the moment of inspiration that O'Sullivan has been looking for? All things still possible in this session. O'Sullivan can yet emerge dead level. What a result that would be for him. Equally, Trump could be 4 clear. But at least O'Sullivan, barring snookers, has given himself the chance to stay in contention in this 3rd consecutive Northern Ireland Open final between the pair of them. Trump leads 4-2. I think most observers would have been surprised at a high break for Judd Trump of just 69, and for O'Sullivan only 43 after 6 frames of this Northern Ireland Open final. It's been a session characterised by blood, sweat and tears rather than free-flowing snooker, as Ronnie grabs another couple of mugs of hot water. But crucially, from O'Sullivan's point of view, he's won frame 6 to stay in touch. Things were beginning to look serious at 4-1 down. It was a brilliant red that got him in to finish the frame off. Maybe that will act as a source of inspiration for the remaining 2 frames of this first session. Trump 7 from 12 from long range today.
1.
Brilliant.
Made a great sound. Now the red by the black is the one he wants out of the way.
1.
That's the one he's immediately played on.
6.
Very rare to see either of these players in the 80s in terms of pot success. Trump now at 87. O'Sullivan has picked it up slightly to nearly 85. But it's been that kind of final so far. The balls have not always been in favourable positions. Both have had to work very hard for the points they have got.
15.
And Trump has been that little bit more adept at doing it, which is why he's 2 in front
22.
and first in this 7th frame.
Well, now, here's the angle here. He could really zip into the bunch here. It's a question of the backspin that takes the cue ball through the bunch. I don't know if he's seen a plant in there. Maybe he's waiting one. There seems to be a combination of some kind. Top 2 reds. Must be in line for him not to take on the split. Yeah, well, at the moment it's aiming at the right jaw, but he kind of overcuts the first red slightly, then he can straighten it up. That's perfectly judged. The reds are still not open though. He had the chance to do so a couple of shots back. I suppose he had to play the plant, really. It's there. Now, could he play this with pace into the bunch? Oh, he's very, very good at that shot, goodness.
37.
Trump has won 18 ranking titles, but perhaps the one he won 45 in Belfast 2 years ago was the most important of all, because it had come after a relatively barren spell of over a year without a title.
46. It
came against Ronnie O'Sullivan. He had to come from behind at the climax of that final to win, which he did in style, and he's never looked back since. He's doubled his ranking title tally since then. That was his 9th success.
52.
Today he's going for his 19th, and of course in the interim he's added the Masters and the world title to his CV.
53.
Just starting to spring to life. The way the last frame was won by O'Sullivan, brilliant long red, and now this chance. There's an example of fizzing the cue ball through the bunch.
60.
Just on that bottom red, a little close. Not most comfortable on the shot, but in it goes.
61.
This has been very untypical of the snooker that we've seen in the final so far, but much more like what we're used to from the world #1. Brilliant long red to get in. And although that wasn't clean, it looks like a clean kill.
68.
Yeah, but by hitting it into that side of the pocket, it's given him a better chance of getting up for the red. So it was a
69.
good way of putting it. So this is a different frame completely to the others we've seen, which kind of brings a lot of attention onto what's to come this afternoon. This next frame is huge now, with Judd looking to extend and scoring the more freely of the two.
And now odds on for his 8th century of the week. Ronnie O'Sullivan has been second best today so far. He's fought for everything. He's scrapped away, but he's only got 2 frames out of the 7 to show for it. And the last of the session is surely a must-win for him.
83.
Judd Trump led 5-3 at the halfway point last year before going on to win 9-7. He's guaranteed that lead already today, but it could be a whole lot better. Looking for his 29th century already of this campaign.
89.
Winner of the English Open, runner-up in the Championship League. Semi-finalist in the Champion of Champions. He's already accrued £140,000 on the table before this event this season.
All of a sudden, it looks a different game to the one we've seen so far. There's a terrific break, aggression, controlled aggression.
7-4-7 for his career. He moved ahead of Neil Robertson this week in the all-time list.
Look at this shot. Look at that for a shot. Play with screw and reverse running side. Oh, one way of developing the brown and getting on the green. Oh, the world #1 has just moved up a notch, and now it's put the ball very firmly in Ronnie O'Sullivan's court. It's been a fabulous break.
Doubly so, given that the other frames have, by and large, been about hard graft. This has just been sublime break building. Launched by a trademark long red. As sweetly struck as you can. And now turning on the style. Just a pity there's no one here to see it. Millions at home watching though and admiring the skills of Judd Trump, who's underlining just why he is the runaway world #1. What a break that was, a 1-2-8. Ronnie O'Sullivan back up against it with 1 frame to come in this first session. Trump leads 5-2. The first real splash of brilliance from the world #1 and defending Northern Ireland Open champion Judd Trump. Look at this for an opening red, perfect position on the blue. And after that, it never looked in doubt that he'd go on to complete his 8th century of the tournament, the 29th of this fledgling season, and the 748th of his increasingly formidable career. He's asking a lot of questions of the world champion Ronnie O'Sullivan once again. He's bested him in the last 2 years in this event, and he's threatening to do it for the 3rd consecutive season. O'Sullivan surely has to win this 8th and final frame of session 1. The Alex Higgins Trophy at stake. The great man would certainly have appreciated the style of snooker that Judd Trump brings to the table. Flair, flamboyance, brilliance. All qualities, of course, that Ronnie O'Sullivan possesses in spades, but second best right now. Has he got it in him today to turn it around? Close to the double. If he doesn't, it won't be for the want of trying. That's something that O'Sullivan has done with every shot he's played this week.
Already a different kind of safety battle this frame, with the reds towards bulk. I don't think O'Sullivan's played as badly as some might think today. He's battled hard for every point. He's potted a lot of good balls, but just missed a couple of shots, a couple of rest shots. He's missed a couple of important shots. But like I say, if he could win this frame at 5-3, then he's in there. Some of the stats below. Safety has been slightly controlled by Trump, not entirely. Feels like there's quite a lot riding on this frame to me. There always is in a match of this kind, but especially these two. 4-frame lead would just feel like an awful long way back.
Trump will be very happy with his afternoon's work, but he'll be giving this final frame everything, because if he can win it, it gives him such a buffer. It will put him within 3 of retaining the title for the hat-trick.
He's always got the option here. He can just drop into the bottom of the bunch. He doesn't particularly want to play it, but it might be that in the absence of any other shot, that's all he can do.
Touching ball is red.
So Marcel Eckhart confirms it is touching.
And he's touching 2 of the reds, I think. Difficult to get a real advantage here, because like I say, the roll-up's always the last resort. You kind of wonder how this frame will develop any time soon. Wrong way of changing it, but I don't know what shot O'Sullivan has here.
O'Sullivan's highest break of this final remains just 43.
What I'll say about that, I mean, the stats don't lie, Philip, do they? But I think if anyone has had the better chances, it's been Judd, and he's created those, of course. But whenever O'Sullivan has come to the table, there's been high-value colours tied up. Now, that hasn't always stopped him before, but I haven't seen him absolutely banging amongst them and not make many. It's just been that kind of an afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah, things have often been awkward. It's been a real scrap to make anything sizable for O'Sullivan. A couple of times he's got himself in front, potting some really good balls, but hasn't been quite able to deliver the killer blow. The misses with the rest have been costly at times, uncharacteristic as well.
This is a little bit pacey. Cue ball is bouncing away. Surely he's not left the red, has he? Looks like he's okay, but there was an anxious moment there when he thought maybe the red had become pottable. I don't think he can get to the potting angle. Might just be some of it sticking out. Play it with left hand side to straighten it maybe. Well, he clearly didn't go for the pot, but he hasn't played a very good shot either way.
Now then, one good pot from O'Sullivan here. Can he produce something along the lines of Trump's previous contribution, get himself back into this final?
One.
This actually, Philip, just might be his best chance early in the frame of the day, of the session of 8 frames, because he's in first. This is usually where he's very deadly, especially at manipulating the balls into better positions. Let's see what he can do.
Seven.
That's fair enough. He's had a good split. I don't think you could hold it against him. Probably deserved it.
13.
A couple of balls have gone awkwardly, but this time this is a gilt-edged opportunity.
Yes, he couldn't have hit the pink much better there, splitting the reds.
$20. 21. $28. 29.
O'Sullivan has always been extremely adept at going into the reds. A few better exponents in the history of the game, and this was pretty good.
It was, but he kind of landed on a red that he didn't know about. The cue ball just drifted down the table, and once he got on that red, the rest of the split was absolutely fine. Now, after some very sticky frames in a row, the last couple of more in keeping with how we saw this final going from the start.
45.
Well, he's going to need a good pot here, not ideally on his colour. And we've been in this sort of territory today already with O'Sullivan building a modest lead, but not being able to continue. Needs a good positional shot. And that wasn't it, although he may still be okay.
Well, he's okay, all right, I think. And certainly, unless those two reds don't go, his expression suggests that they don't. But I think he can pop that left-hand red. I think it will go, but it's not a full pocket. I'm always the first to say when they go easily. This does not go easily. It will go on off the jaw, I think.
51.
It's a very good shot. That is a good shot. He just raised his hand there because he sighed and huffed and puffed, and then he was on the red. Just didn't want Judd to be disrespected, I think.
Yeah,
Nothing
careering
worse
into the brown was never part of the plan, was it? But no damage.
Nothing worse when your opponent does that. Say the little apology for thinking he wasn't on the ball.
Well, things could have gone badly wrong for O'Sullivan there, and going in and out of balk, but it looks as though he's going to win a frame. He surely had to win to entertain thoughts of lifting the Alex Higgins Trophy aloft tonight. He's very close to reducing his arrears to 2. Red and the black would suffice, barring snookers. Easily his best break of the final.
65.
It's been a tough afternoon for him, but 5-3, all things considered, wouldn't be too bad. The applause acknowledging frame ball.
73.
Yeah, this is a good break. Always felt he needed to get in early in a frame and get the balls where he wanted them. Maybe the 1 or 2 little nudges in this frame are the ones that he didn't really get earlier on.
81.
But it means that tonight will remain very interesting. I think they've got all their anxiety and the sort of tense nature of snooker out of themselves. I think it'll be more free-flowing now, even though
87.
it could end up close. There's one not to miss from here. The intensity has been there from the start.
$94. 95.
So the black for O'Sullivan's 6th century of the tournament. A very timely intervention from the reigning world champion. He's going to be facing the same deficit as he did last year. Judd Trump still has work to do to make it 3 Northern Ireland Opens in a row.
110. 112.
He'll be pretty happy with his afternoon's work. Sparkling century just now.
150.
Had he won this frame, 6-2, hard to see any other result than a Trump victory. But O'Sullivan has come to the party in the nick of time. And it could yet be a momentous evening.
What a break this has been. What a way to end the session.
A 137 clearance from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Engrossing stuff in their 3rd Northern Ireland Open final. And O'Sullivan has given himself a chance, but it's Trump who leads 5-3.